All right, everybody, I am back with a brand new review. Disney was nice enough to drop 2 episodes of Daredevil Born Again, and I just got done watching both episodes 5 and 6. Now, I never did a review on 2 and 3, so this is going to be kind of a combination of all 4 episodes kind of rolled into one here. And I will tell you right off the bat, there's been a lot of discourse online in regards to the show. Some people think it's terrible. Some people like it. I'm in the like it group, but I am going to talk about some of the issues with the show. And I think the biggest problem with the show, and something that is going against the show, is the fact that they're releasing 1 episode a week. Now, I'm going to give you my theory as to why I think they dropped 2 this week. And I'll get to that when I actually get to talking about those 2 episodes. But Netflix, people would binge those. I would sit down and watch an entire season in 2 days. And this is something these companies need to realize, these streaming companies, that it's different from network television. Network television, the writing is a completely different beast. You are trying to keep the people engaged, and everything is meant to be watched, pretty much binged, I would say, on social or on these streaming networks. And so the original show, you were able to do that, meaning you didn't skip a beat. If there was a boring episode or something that didn't really move the story forward, it was hidden within all the other episodes because you were able to watch them all at once. You're not able to do that with this series, okay? Because they are releasing 1 episode a week, but they released 2 this week, and I'm going to give my theory as to why. And if I'm totally off, because I didn't know they were dropping 2 today, I was happy enough to see that, when I got done with 1, it said 6 is going to start, and I was like, oh, okay, all right, this is a gift. But let's talk about the episodes 3 and 4 first. So I did a review on 1 and 2. Let's talk about 3 and 4 first. First of all, a lot of people didn't like 3. 3 was a courtroom drama, and I think it served its purpose. I didn't think it was boring at all. It did have a shocking ending, though, an ending that I didn't see coming. And at first, I thought it was a returning character that committed this horrible act at the end. But then I realized, no, this character would never do that. They'd never work with Fisk to begin with. And it didn't make sense. And then I realized exactly what was going on, which did lead into the 4th episode, which I thought was also really good. And it actually had one of the best written scenes that I have seen in a long time in a show. This is where Frank Castle comes back into the picture, and we have, Matt Murdock go visit him and to talk to him about something that's bothering him, and they have some dialogue in there that I think is amazing. Now, obviously, you see that Frank Castle has been through a lot. He's not where we saw him last at the end of Punisher Season 2, and so some things have occurred, but we don't know what. I don't know if he's going to show up more in the season. I'm assuming he is. I don't think they just have him back for 1 scene. I know he's getting a special in 2026, but their dialogue was really critical for the storyline. The rest of the episode, though, was pretty forgettable. Now, that's where people were complaining that, they're not moving the story along, and there was something really cool that happened. There was a montage at the end of episode 4 where you think, episode 5, we're going to get Daredevil back, And no, there's no Daredevil in episode 5. And here's why I think they released both episodes 5 and 6 today. Because 5 is a completely filler episode. Like, it didn't even need to be in there. You could actually not even watch episode 5, not skip a beat, and just go from 4 directly to 6. You don't even need to watch 5. There's a couple of flashbacks in the episode that will talk about what happened in 5, and it's all you need to know. The only reason they did episode 5, I think, was to bring Kamala Khan's family into this, Ms. Marvel. Now, I never watched the series. It meant nothing to me, and I don't think it's going to mean a lot to a lot of people, especially in the Netflix group. There's the shows that are on Disney Plus are a completely different audience than what was on Netflix, and they don't mix well because Disney's more for kids. Well, it's supposed to be for kids anyway, but I didn't watch Ms. Marvel. I will never watch it, and so the connection meant absolutely nothing to me. To some people, they'll like it. By the end, it was a little it was a little dorky at the very end, and I know that show was kind of dorky, and so that's kind of where they went with this, and it really didn't do anything to move the story further other than showing that Matt Murdock has to realize that the police cannot do everything on their own, that they're going to need help. And it was basically a bank heist episode that he sees himself in the middle of. And there's more things that go on, but it's a completely filler episode. Didn't even need to be in there, okay? Didn't even need to be in there because there's absolutely no Fisk in episode 5. His girlfriend wasn't even in episode 5. There was nothing in episode 5 that actually tied this to the rest of the season. Like, you could skip it entirely. It was very weird the way it was written. And so then you jump into episode 6. And we finally get the goods in this episode. And the second half of it is pretty phenomenal. This episode felt like regular Daredevil, what you remember from the Netflix series. But at the same time, there are some characters that keep popping up in a few of the episodes, and one of them in this episode, where it doesn't feel organic. It feels out of place, and you know they're throwing them in there to push the story forward, whereas they didn't have to hold your hand in the Netflix series. Here you feel like you're being led along the way. Now, I will tell you that the last 10 minutes is phenomenal. There's basically 2 storylines between Fisk and Matt Murdock running side by side. You see how they're going to converge. And this is the episode where Fisk actually sets up a task force of what he considers to be New York's finest to take down any masked vigilantes out there, good or bad. It's his task force. And you can see where this is going to clash with Daredevil here in the future. But like I said, there's definitely some telephoning it in this episode with the characters, especially someone that Matt has to rescue and is tied into the end of the episode. And I'm trying to do this without giving out too many spoilers for people who are going to watch it. And so I'm just giving you my honest opinions on this and kind of how this is all functioning. But I did like the last 10 minutes. I thought it was really well done. Now I'm ready for the next episode. I don't know how many episodes are in this season, but I do know people say that the finale is incredible. People who have seen the whole entire season rave about the end. I'm looking forward to it. I'm actually really enjoying the series a lot more than I was expecting to. It took a little while to get used to the stable camera, and I talked about this in my first video, versus the shaky camera that they used to use before. I think I still prefer the gritty look of the original series versus what they're doing here, but it was still, it's still engaging, and it's finally starting to feel like the old Daredevil. I just think it's a shame that it took 6 episodes to get all the way there, that you had Daredevil at the very beginning, and I still say that first episode should have all been devoted to him, Foggy, and to Karen. Let us have some time with those characters again before they do what they did. And so that's how that should have been done. I thought the beginning was just too fast. And then get into the other stuff. And even that, I think the second and third episodes could have been combined and they could have condensed some stuff. But they didn't do that. They're kind of stretching it out a little bit. So you could tell the writers are not the same as the writers on the Netflix series. I'm pretty sure. Maybe I'm wrong. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. But it does seem to me that some of this is just being homed in and dialed in a way that's not, it's just not quite as good. Now, if I had to give the season up through episode 6 a star rating, I'd give it 3.5 stars. It would be my least favorite season out of, well, probably my least favorite season out of all 4 seasons thus far. I do know they're working on another season of Daredevil Born Again, and they're even talking about possibly doing a third. Hopefully that happens. But the viewership needs to go higher with this. And I don't think they're going to get higher viewership until the whole thing is released. I think some people are waiting to binge it. And I almost wish I would have waited to binge it. That's the way I saw it on Netflix. I think it's the most enjoyable way to watch it and to really get engaged with the story. But it's not the Disney way. They like to stretch it out. All right, guys, so if you've watched it, what do you think? I'd give it 3.5 out of 5 stars. I'm hoping it gets better and that I can up that rating by the end of the season. All right, I'll be back, hopefully, week to week with weekly updates now. I don't know if they're going to be doing any more 2-episode releases like they did this week. Like I said, it was a surprise. but I will be back with the next episode. I do appreciate it. We'll see you guys on the next review.